Okay, so welcome to Sketchbook 3. I decided to do this before I've actually finished the book because for all my other ones it's taken me a few parts to go through the drawing and talk about it properly. So we're just gonna do this before I finish the book. I'm just gonna go along through it because I think I've done enough now to make a couple of parts to this sketchbook talk. Definitely at least one. So yeah, here we have the picture that I drew of Mark Lewis. The problem with this one, it's not really much of a problem, is that I put it in my school bag when it was raining and my supposedly weatherproof bag leaked and the rain got to my book, so there will be like an ink stain in that shape in the corner of a few of the pages. It doesn't go very deep, thank goodness, because I've actually sold some pictures from this book and I was just lucky that none of them were affected by that at all. And I have photocopies of the pictures that I did sell, so I can still lead you around a picture in the way that I like to. So this one is different from most of my portraits in that it was drawn in pen. I had to be really careful when I was drawing the outline for this one because I needed to get it right the first time. With my pencil ones, I can go in and change it along the way because it's not permanent until I spray it, which only happens once I've finished the picture. And with this one, the ink is permanent and I can't get rid of it, so I had to make sure it was right the first time, which luckily it was, and I've managed to create a lot of contrast here, which I think expresses the mood very well. Mark Lewis has got quite a scary game face, hasn't he? When he's not playing though, he's like really nice and friendly looking, and then when he's playing it's really scary. Anyway, we move on. This is the first practice sketch that I did for, don't know if you remember, my drawing of Haddad for Nice Time TV, playing the drums. We'll get to that. Get to that in a couple of drawings. This is the first practice sketch that I did. Sorry, Cookie's barking. And I wanted to have a go at drawing someone that wasn't wearing hockey gear, that was wearing just normal clothes. Because I just sort of wanted to know how to draw the human figure, and also how fabric folds work outside of drawing hockey players. And I thought to myself, who do I know that wears clothes? No, yeah, I wanted a dynamic sort of picture, so that it would still have the same amount of life that my portraits have, even though it wouldn't be close up. Probably a bit longer to draw the drum kit because I'm not used to drawing stuff like that. Musical instruments are horrible to draw. Anyway, I'll tell you the next part of that story when I get to the next practice sketch, so that I'm not repeating myself. Right, so here we have this picture that I don't like. I really wanted to draw Joey Haddad, and I couldn't find any reference photos I hadn't already used where he was close up enough that I could see his face properly for a portrait. So I just decided stupidly to take it into my own hands, try and draw him without a reference. He's difficult enough to draw with a reference, so that should have been an indicator to me that no, don't try this, wait until you can find a picture, which I did, but it's just really, it creeps me out a lot. Something in the eyes, I don't. This bit's really small, that's bothering me now. I didn't notice that before, but this bit here is too small and it's bothering me a lot now. Yeah, I'd rather not talk about this. To be fair, I don't even know what was going on when I drew his nose. Right, so this is the second practice sketch. What I was doing with these was, I wasn't sure if a realistic picture was going to work or not. So I was just testing the water a little bit. With the previous one I was like, okay, well if it looks like it could be realistic then we'll go for it. And if it doesn't, try again. With this one I wanted to try a different feel. I wanted to see, could I do something that worked, but have him being in a different part of the process. So what I did was I was like, okay, what mood could I create if I drew him actually hitting a part of the kit rather than going to hit a part of the kit. It doesn't move a lot, so it looks a little bit dead. So I was like, okay, let's open his mouth a bit maybe so that we indicate this man is actually living. And that just made it worse. So, yeah. So I was like, okay, try again. The proportions were actually correct this time in terms of the upper body. This is the one that I put on Twitter. This is a little bit wonky. I definitely looked a lot closer at what was going on for this one. Yeah, so I took some of my own advice from the last attempt, which was don't draw him actually hitting part of the drum kit because it looks, but no, it doesn't create enough of an effect. So I have him moving. I decided to tense up the face to get like a lot more expression, which I think it really worked. Because that's the sort of thing I love, like even like that's why I do my portraits, is because I just really love expression. And I thought, yeah, okay, this looks good enough to send to him. I still didn't know whether or not I was going to do the it was Tavanol in English. The final picture. I hadn't decided if I was going to do that or not, if I was just going to leave it at this, because I still wasn't sure if it would work. It's so different from everything else that I wanted to do that I wasn't sure it was going to actually work. So that's why I didn't even talk about it, because usually, you know me, I like talking about my drawings a lot on Twitter and Instagram while I'm in the process of drawing them. But with this one I was just like really worried it wasn't going to work, so I didn't talk about it at all. We have a Chris Culligan portrait that went wrong. And that's basically how all my portraits start out. I can't draw a circle independently, so I have to use a tape roll. So then, yeah, this is a copy of the drawing that I did, and I'm pleased with it from the point of view that usually my drawings that I don't use a reference on don't go as well as the drawings that I do with a reference. So I'm happy with it from that perspective, but it's a little bit unsettling to look at because of the way I drew his eyes. I think this eye that I'm not covering up is normal. It's still a little bit creepy. It's that one that bothers me. I did it wrong and I tried to fix it. I spent 3 days trying to fix it. I just couldn't, so I was like, oh, well, I've said I was doing this drawing now, so I might as well upload it. I drew his beard quite well though. Looking at that, it's a bit blurry, so I'm assuming I did draw his beard well. Yeah, backgrounds when I'm drawing without a reference are quite challenging. I'm gonna have to work on that a bit, I think. I really hate drawing backgrounds anyway, because they tend to not be as interesting to me as the main subject of the picture. So when I'm drawing backgrounds, a lot of my friends will tell you that I'm really grumpy. Because I just really don't like it. And my least favourite backgrounds to draw are backgrounds without a reference, because I have to make it up and it's just really boring. What I wanted to get is like in these pictures I'm drawing without a reference, is I want to get like sort of like an unusual expression. I feel like I got that with this. I looked at a lot of Ice Time TV interviews that he's done. Well, not a lot of them because there aren't many, but I looked at all of them to put it more accurately, just to sort of work out what his face looks like. And I also had to look in a lot of detail at like his face and everything, so just sort of keep some of the blemishes and other stuff as well, to make it look more accurate. I think I did a good job with the helmet as well, the way I composed it. And now I have a cartoon of Joey Martin. And I drew this really quickly, so that's why the helmet's looking a bit off. But I wanted to make quite a fun looking cartoon of Joey Martin. This is my favourite picture I've ever drawn. Whenever I see people at hockey games and they want to look at, I ask them if they want to look at my pictures and they say yes. This is one of the first ones I'll show them because it's my favourite picture that I've ever drawn. It was probably one of my most successful on Twitter, and I'm really pleased with that. I spent a lot of time taking attention to detail. I didn't even know how long it was going to take me. I feel better since I've finished the series of doing one drawing a week, because it's taken the pressure off. I know that I can finish at any time and people will be like understanding. I really feel like I've upped my game with this one. I'm trying to keep the standard going across all my other drawings as well. I'm not sure how well that's holding up, but I'm just glad that I managed to do something like this. It was a big gamble for me when I was drawing it, because Bentivoglio is one of those guys that only looks like him with his eyebrows coloured in. So I was, for the entire week that I was drawing this, I was thinking, oh my gosh, does it look like him? I really wanted to look like him because it's going quite well and I don't have to rub everything out. and yeah, David Williams, who took the photo, he takes these really nice sort of quite close-up looking pictures with a lot of detail in them, and like, yeah, whenever he uploads pictures to Twitter and looking at them, like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And yeah, so I really do enjoy drawing pictures of his photographs, especially like stuff like this. And I spent a lot of time looking at exactly how the reflections in his in Sean Bentivoglio's eyes were lit, to try and put that life in them. I worked a lot more on the contrast than I have done on previous drawings, so that gave me a lot of incentive to actually be good, because I was looking at my drawing of Andrew Lloyd and I was like, that could have been such a good picture if I put more contrast in. So that's what I decided to do with this one then instead. Right, this is the drawing I did of Haddad, the final picture. Again, another gamble. Even when I started drawing this, I was like, hopefully it'll go well. It could just be another one of the other ones. But I noticed that the video that I drew it from was filmed a lot closer to him, and it was a lot clearer. So I thought, okay, could work. Which luckily it really did. You can't really see the detail. It's like my Chris Culligan one. You can't really see the detail that I put into this because it's printed off, so it's not very clear. But the floor tom actually went accidentally really well. It's my favourite part of the picture is this area. It was accidentally good. Because what I was doing, so I just shaded like that shadow right there, and it was just like, oh, that was exactly right. Okay, I'll just do that again. Yeah, the symbols were very, well, okay, they're frustrating and fun at the same time to draw. And I think the folds in his t-shirt were probably my least favourite bit, because I just this one right here, I couldn't get it right. I drew this over a period of 2 weeks, and I kept trying to get the fold here right, and I couldn't, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And it was really interesting because I had to look at like parts of the body that I've never drawn before, like hands and arms and stuff, and having to work with different textures of fabric as well and shade them differently. And I wasn't sure what mood I was going to go for with this picture. The process that I went through with the other pictures is the same that I applied to this one. Took a few screenshots of one video that I decided I wanted to draw. So I had to watch it a few times. Good music, by the way. So I chose a few different poses. So yeah, it's not exactly the same, it's a little bit off. But that one was an option as well, because I watched a few drummers on YouTube because I like animating this cartoon band that I made up a few years ago by myself, and I don't play the drums. I can reference myself with all the other instruments, but not this. So I reference other people, so I watch a few drummers on YouTube. And like none of them have ever really inspired me to draw them before, but Haddad, he just really, you can see how much he enjoys this. I really like that feeling of when you watch someone doing something and they're in their element and you can see how much they enjoy it. Anyway, so that one didn't make the cut, but I thought, okay, his arms are a bit close to his body in that one for it to make much of an impact in a picture. And then there was that one, but I really wanted to concentrate on his face, so I didn't choose that one. And then this one had the same problem as that one. Well, that's not really a problem, but it just wouldn't have made enough of an effect. I don't think there's any more. And yeah, so I ended up choosing that reference shot, and it worked out really well. This is a bit overexposed looking. These photocopies all are, so you can't really see enough what it actually looked like. But I made, in all my pictures, I make sure to put as much detail into every area as possible. The one of Joey Martin. It's too overexposed, but I did it fairly quickly, actually. I worked on it really hard. Also got his helmet surprisingly good looking. I'm starting to do well with these helmets. I didn't used to be very good at drawing them. And I think I got the expression as well. Originally, when I drew the outline, I couldn't get his eyes right, and I wasn't sure what was wrong, because I knew one of the eyes wasn't in the right place, but I wasn't sure which one it was. But I managed to fix that, which is really good. You can't see, but I actually drew his nose actually like his actual nose, which it's a bit of a rare event for me, because I'm better at drawing quite big, more angular noses. It's not my best drawing, but I still think it's pretty good. Morissette signed it, which makes it really cool for me. And I really like drawing him because he's just like a handsome guy. that's it. Basically, it's just I would go as far as to say he's one of the most handsome guys on the team. So I do really enjoy drawing him. I really like the way that the light reflected in his eyes in this picture, because it makes for a lot of nice shading. This is the cartoon band I was talking about earlier. That's the drummer there at the back with the spiky hair. I wanted to try something out with brush pens, because I've been using them a lot recently, and I wanted to use them like properly for tapering lines really well. So I think I did that here. I was really lucky because I haven't been able to capture anything like this since then. So I'm really glad about that.